The SAKURA-ROSEGAMER here in the video, and today we're going to talk about Granblue Fantasy Versus, since it's been such a long time, especially for any like character trailers or anything for DLC matters. And it says right here, Granblue Fantasy most wanted character polls resulted revealed, pointing towards the likely candidate for future DLC. To absolute no surprise, Zandapun swept the majority of votes in a landslide. Yeah, this is the guy. I've seen this guy a lot before, and he looks really cool. He should have been the other DLC instead of like Mr. Belial. Let's say Mr. Avatar Belial. And this is Japan, so this is him, second Siegfried, Beatrix, Saffron, Viuka is the mouse girl. I've seen her a lot. 6 is the sheep girl, Alna, near Lisa, I think that's her name. Lucius, and then, I'm sorry I'm pronouncing their names right, but you can see it right here. Earlier this weekend, we saw a Granblue Fantasy Versus Saiyan Games Cup 22 specials happening to fanfare, and while focusing on the course of all the hype matches between top Japanese Granblue Fantasy Versus players, these sponsored events often bring them a little something along the way with new information for the game as well. I'm super excited. Granblue Fantasy Saiyan Games Cup 2022 special was no different from the block, with tidbits that upcoming new system mechanic for the games will be releasing in June, and there will be 3 new mechanical in total, as well as there's another Saiyan Games Cup happening in July. Dang, they're busy. That part that kept everyone's focus through was the talk about the polls for the characters that you want to see added to Granblue Fantasy Versus, which were opened back in December, or more precisely focus on the result of these surveys. Although there were no polls similar in nature in the past of Granblue Versus, what was interesting was about the fact that it was exclusive just Japan, which is the key market for the game as well as the mobile title. It's based on that and actually opens the rest of the world, as well as thereby bringing in voting voices who may not have heard in the past. With this in mind, the result was presented by region: Japan, Asia, Oceania, North, South America, and Europe. And while they were quite similar in the same aspect, there were some key differences as well. Before devaluing and the poll results, it must be stressed, and that popularity is to say that the strong placement in the survey, it isn't going to be guaranteed a character to be added to the Granblue Fantasy Versus roster. Saiyan Games highlighted that this by the first presentation as the graphic, thanking players for voting and explaining that there are many other factors that are also taken into consideration, which making new addition to the game's roster, such as potential playstyles and weapons represented, and more. This may be hardly come as a surprise, as we very much exactly this takes place in game's second season, where Belial, Cassiaco, Sexton, and were extremely popular characters who got placed high in polls, where Eula, Estes, and in particular Anura was more the oddball pick that players perhaps wouldn't have prone to expect. With that out of the way, let's have a look at the polls themselves. You can check out these images below and see how top looks for each region, including the listing showcases the results for each region next to each other, making it easier to compare placements. In Japan, it's the same thing. Asia is the same guy. The mouse girl's there. Beatrix is third. Oh, Stefan is there. His friend Near, Siegfried, Jenna, Lucian, and Lucifer, and Lucius. I'm pretty sure I'm saying their names wrong, but you can see in the screens right here. This is very, especially the mouse girl and Beatrix, they've been on like the top for like a very long time. Since they are very popular, it's very interesting. So in North America, it's still San again, Beatrix is second. Siegfried is third. Lisa is fourth. Stefan is fifth. Eliza, yes, the martial arts girl, she's in sixth. Seventh is Sheep Girl. Silva, I've never seen her before. The Mouse Girl, Velka, and Vane, 10th. Wow. Seems like North America really likes Beatrix. It's like a lot of Beatrix. And for Europe, it says San again, Beatrix second, Siegfried, Eliza, I'm pretty sure I'm saying her name. She's fourth. Europe. Oh wow. Stefan fifth. Lisa sixth. Sheep Girl, Jenna and Silva, and Black Knight. Oh, I think I've seen him before. He's like a big character, Black Knight. That's a new one we've seen. He looks like a heavy character that you can play against. Yeah, we can see right here placements, which is very, very interesting. Obviously, the first point interest is that San has completely swept the polls in every region, though people who are familiar with the Swords game, this is hardly a surprise since San's popularity has been immense ever since he was introduced in the game's lore, and he has in fact won previous polls and from 2 years ago as well. With San, it's more a question when rather if in the conclusion and rosters, to the point where there is more surprise and that he isn't part of it yet. What's interesting is that looking at the other results, perhaps a notable Siegfried, a fellow Dark Knight to the current playable character Lancelot, Percival, and Beatrix, a member of societies along with the current selected fighters Zeta, Basaraga, and it was noted by the developers that many votes had been by these seem to see familiar characters interact with others, and which partly explains their votes, and coupled with courses with the fact that they're both very popular. Given that Beatrix managed to top 3 all regions and Siegfried most accomplished the same feat, ending with 6 in Asia and Oceania, they seem to like very real contenders, including based on the popularity. The other characters placed in all regions are Siphon, the co-leader of Eternal, alongside with the current playable Aaron in the group, with Season 2 and additional 6 is also a member of Lisa, yet another society member, and Vika, a rat sign representative of the Zodiac character, shows up in 3 different regions. Top 10 clearly showing large fan base in both these as well. Additional candidates who have been good chances based on all polls results and available to us: Eliza and Silva, who has higher regions, who has obviously previously would have been able to vote, and also both hold interesting gameplay possibilities and direction, with side games highlighted as more factor for conclusion. Silva is a gun-based character who is straight-up sniper, definitely a separation from Iska and the other gunslinger available in the game right now. It would probably be heavily focused on long-range zooming, and if she's added Eliza, and the other hand warrior princess would be filled with archetypes and close-up kung fu style fighter, much like Jam from Guilty Gear series. While the implications of the new characters added was very clear, why was else hold a poll, much less a publish its results? There was also any clear statement whether this would be the confirmation of DLC for Granblue Fantasy Versus or the shit for projects such as Granblue Fantasy 2. Granblue Fantasy 2, that's too early, I say. Maybe more seasons, but too early for Granblue Fantasy 2. The game has been out for like a while, like 2016 or 17 if I'm remembering wrong.
Nice job, Officer Fuckface. You really connected the dots on that one.
The lack of any sequel announcements, despite the talking about characters that fans want to have added to the game, would have pointed quite clearly towards the former, but the next-gen console slowly inching their way into the market space. One has to wonder that the festival keeps supporting the game in its current state, especially after developers themselves admitted that they believe that the the rollback netcode should be the standards for fighting games as a feature, with the current Granblue Fantasy vs. luck, whenever the case they may be this year, with the hold on it, with the excitement, new content for Granblue Fantasy vs. in forms of updates, events, and most importantly spots for main stages at EVO 2022. More information and else will undoubtedly become available to us in the near future. Dang. Hopefully it's not like a different character, and hopefully Sand is gonna be the first character gonna be for the next character, because I can't wait. And hopefully some of the other characters will be in the game too. That's like the top, Beatrix, Siegfried, Lisa, or any of these characters maybe, before they just move on to another game. So I hope you guys join this video, like, comment, subscribe videos like these, and I'll see you guys next video. Bye, roses.